Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Real Relationship Talk. We talking real up in here. So if your feelings get hurt really easily, bye. Because today, if you are a parent, we might hit you in the ouch places. But
Ooh,
let me
ouch.
say at the beginning, we love
We
you.
do.
And sometimes, love it hits you in the truth places. Let's just put it that way. I don't believe that love hurts. So, welcome to Real Relationship Talk. I am your host, Danica Carruthers. I'm also your intuitive spiritual life coach. And with me, my co host is the beautiful Onyx Williams. Say hey,
Hey,
Onyx.
everybody. Yes, we're back again.
We are
Got
back.
some nuggets.
We are back in all of our realness to talk some real talk today. Today, we're going to be talking about parent to child relationships. What type of investment are you making? What
Mhm.
type of investment are you making as a parent into your relationship with your child? Onyx, I want to start here because this is something that I hear parents say a lot. And as a parent myself, well, my children are all grown now, but even when I was parenting my children when they were younger, this was
Mhm.
not a statement that I made because I knew what I wanted to create. My intention when I was raising my children when they were young was to be a damn good mommy. At that
Mhm.
time, that was my purpose, that was my focus, and I wanted to invest properly, wisely, and intentionally in my relationships with my children. And so, one of the things that I never said was, I don't want to be my child's friend. I never said that because I wanted to be my child's friend. See, because I understood the dynamics and the sacredness and the closeness and the connection of
Mhm.
friendships. And so I never was trying to create an anti friendship relationship with my children. Now I knew that I had to separate friendship from parenting because when it was time to parent, purposefully, I could not be their friend. I couldn't let things slide, but I never said that I did not want to be my child's friend. But so many parents say that. They utter those words, and I believe in the power of life and death is in the spoken word. They utter those words, they're intentional about those words. And then when their children want to have nothing to do with them,
Mhm.
they wonder why. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts, but see, I go along with what you're saying. Um, and the child, your children actually need to know the difference. See, that's where we don't. When we're talking about friend and parenting, me personally, I don't think it's anything wrong with that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but you also need to let them know. Look, I'm not playing. Like I tell my son, I talk to my son all the time. We joke, we laugh, and I've always been that way with my son, my nieces and nephews. But see, they know the difference. They know when to let's have a conversation, let's laugh, whatever, kiki. But when it's time to parent, which we're a parent 24/7, that never turns off. But they know the difference. And so
Mm-hmm.
my son is like, okay, mama, okay, I know you're not playing. So it's up to us. It goes back to communication and also being intentional
Mm-hmm.
with our children.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Well,
we don't do that. We don't take time to actually do that. We don't even take time to allow. And when I say we, I mean not everyone,
mm-hmm.
but I'm just speaking as of we because everyone is not like that.
Right.
But I believe it's very important for us to allow our kids to have an opinion. A lot of us parents will say, because I said so. What
Mm.
the what the hell does
What
that
the
mean?
hell, girl? Let me tell.
What the hell?
Okay, let's pause just 1 second because I want to
Okay.
acknowledge our viewers.
Okay,
Hey,
yes.
Kendra. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Tina. Hey, Patricia. I want to acknowledge our viewers as they're coming in, and we want to
Hey
be
y'all.
interactive today. So
Yes,
feel free to, type in your comments. If you have a comment,
definitely.
I'll definitely try to say it. And if you have
Mhm.
a question, type the question in, and we'll try to get to your questions today.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay, so Onyx, I'm so glad that you said that, because let me tell you, as a child, I was always a question asker.
Mm-hmm.
Always a question asker. But of course, I'm a life coach, so I was just following purpose, right? And one of
Correct.
the things, my father would never answer my questions, and it was a huge disconnect for me in my relationship with him. Whenever I
Mm-hmm.
would say why, because our children say why all the time,
Yes.
he would say why as a crooked letter and wouldn't answer me. And so one of the things that I was really intentional about with my children was answering their questions. And it was
Yes.
when me and Spirit became ride or die real close like that, because my children would come at me with
Yes.
some questions, and honey, I did not have the answer. And I said, hold on
Right.
1 second, give them a couple minutes. I'll get back to you. I would go into the room. I would say
Mm-hmm.
a prayer. I would say, I need some answers for these children. And the answers would come and I would give them, because it was very
Yes.
important for me to give them answers and not to
It
say,
is.
because I
You
said so.
got
And I'm so happy that you said that, because as parents, we are not supposed to be the controller of our children. We are supposed to be
right.
their support system,
Yes,
not
exactly.
the rulers of the kingdom. What you got to say?
Right. You know what? I agree with that. You know what? One thing I can say with my son is now 24, and you guys will hear me from time to time say my babies. And sometimes when I'm talking to individuals, they're like, "Oh, so how old are your babies?" "Oh, my babies are like 20 and 21." Those are not damn babies. Those are grown ass like people.
But they're your babies.
But they're my babies, and I treat them as young adults. I don't treat them like babies.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get that clear, because I believe in that we all have responsibilities, and so do our children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can hinder and we can handicap our children without even knowing. I'm a living witness to that. I did that at a certain time. But
Mm-hmm.
getting back to what you're saying, Nika, basically, we have to really think, and it's okay. Our kids, they need to have a mind of their own. They need to have an opinion. My child at 5, I would always tell my child, you know what, sweetie? I want you to have your own opinion and thought. It's not going to be because I said so. And to be honest, let me tell you something. Really, and I'm not saying everyone, but the reason why back in the olden days, like they say,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why they said that is because, hell, they didn't know. They didn't know.
Exactly.
So basically, they said, because I said so.
Yeah.
But you know what? In this time and day,
Mm-hmm.
because I said so does not work.
No, that doesn't work. That
That's
doesn't work.
no,
That doesn't work with the children of this generation.
no, ma'am. No,
And
ma'am.
you said they need to have a mind of their own.
Yes.
Well, boo, they have a mind of their own, and
Yes.
they have their own opinions, and
Yes.
you have to give them space to
Yes.
have a mind of their own and to
Correct.
have their own opinions, because as parents, your children will do as you do before they
Yes.
do as you say. Your children are watching every move you make. They're
Mm-hmm.
watching your lack and scarcity mindset.
Yes.
They're watching your anger. They're watching your abuse. They're watching
Mm-hmm.
your depression. They're watching your
Everything.
your drive, your no drive or super drive. They're watching
Yes.
how you go and you talk about other people. They're watching how you curse. Girl, this used to freak me out. You would curse like a man of war sailor in your house. Your children do as you do. And then
Right?
you go out and you in the
Got the
church
nerve.
and your children cursing, or you in the street or in the grocery store and your children cursing, and you want to chastise them and discipline
Yeah.
them. They learn that from you.
Yes, they do. They do. That is so true. That is so true. And you know what? Let me tell you something. And this was many, many years ago with my nephew, my brother's son.
Mm-hmm.
And we were laughing at it because he was like, you know what? I'm fixing to get on my son's ass because he didn't clean his room. But guess what my brother said?
Mm.
Well, let me go pick my shit up first. Let me go pick it up. Because how am I going to say you need to pick your things up? And then they looking at you like, what the? Well, you got your things laying around too.
Come on now. And then you expecting them to clean up the kitchen and clean up after themselves, but you want them to be the slave and the
Right.
maid and the butler to clean up the kitchen. They never see you cleaning up the kitchen. You
No.
probably never even taught them how to clean
Correct.
up the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you expect your children to effect something that they have never been taught? This is one of the things that
Correct.
really kind of bothers me when I
Yeah.
hear people talking about the young people and they're
Mm-hmm.
this and they're that. young people are the products of their environment and
Yes, they
or
are.
their upbringing. They can
Hmm.
only demonstrate what they have been taught. Okay. And
Correct.
so as a parent, the question today on our talk today is what type of investment or lack of investment
Hmm.
are you making into your children? And it's so crazy because I have an amazing relationship with my children like you. I
Hmm.
have young
Hmm.
adults. My baby is
Yes.
24 and my eldest,
Yes.
he'll be 30 this year. And I
Yes.
have three. My second one, she's will be 28 this year. And we
Hmm.
have an amazing relationship. And I've had a lot of people who have commented to me about watching how I parent my children. And I
Hmm.
really do pride myself. But let me tell you something. I have amazing children, and I am not humble to not be able to pat myself on my back because Sean, Onyx, I invested into the relationship
Come on
that I
now.
have
You
with my
got to.
children. I
Yeah.
invested 100%.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm all for that because, and I just had this conversation with, it's funny that we're even talking about this and what our topic is today about relationships with children. But it's very, very important. We cannot continue to point the finger, as they say, at the millennial children.
Mm.
And so they want to make it to seem like they, as society, want to make it seem like, oh, these millennial kids, this and that. But you know what? To be honest, okay, but we did that. We did that to those millennial children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to stop and think simply because when we were growing up, we were thinking, okay, well, I didn't get all the technology and the phones and all that. But guess who gave the green card, the green lights?
Mm.
Guess who gave that drug to the millennials? We did that. We did that.
And
So
that's the thing, they talk about the young children being on the phone all the time, being on these computers, and your children cannot even get you to participate in their lives because
correct. Mm.
they
Uh
trying to
oh.
talk to you and you, hold on, wait a minute, I'm doing something. You're investing more time into this
Yes, ma'am.
than you are into your children. You're
Hmm.
investing more time swiping and scrolling, looking at other people's lives, looking at what other people are doing in their
That's true.
lives, and you have
Hmm.
no idea what is going on with your own child in your
Yep.
own house.
And
There's
then,
nothing wrong with that.
and then you got, and then look, and then parents have nerve enough to say, "You're not going to amount to anything." Well,
Oh,
what have you shown me as a parent?
can we
What
talk?
have you,
Can we talk about that for a little bit?
honey? We got a lot to talk about. I know we
Can,
can't get it all in an hour or whatever, but let's talk sugar
let's
plum.
let's talk about the shit that parents are doing with their
There
children.
it is. The word shit.
The power of life and death lies in
Hmm.
your tongue. You are the greatest teacher. You are the greatest influencer.
Hmm.
You are the greatest role model in
Yes.
your child's life. And when you open your mouth to talk to your child, you ain't never gonna be nothing. You
Yes,
ain't
ma'am.
nothing. You're stupid. You need to
Hmm.
do better. What's wrong with you? And
Hmm.
you know when a child is between the ages of
Hmm.
newborn and 7 years old, they absorb everything that they
Yes.
experience, every word that is said, everything
Hmm.
that is done to them, they just absorb it and it becomes
Hmm.
a part of their subconscious programming. And
Yes.
then that 7-year-old little boy who was
Hmm.
told that he's stupid, that he is nothing, that you need to be more of a man, you need to be the man. You 7 years
Hmm.
old now.
Yes, but
You're
you got to
told
be the man.
be the man of this house now because
Hmm.
your daddy is gone. Then
Yeah.
that little boy grows into a 40-year-old, 45-year-old man
Yes.
who is still stuck in that little boy, still stuck in that
Yes.
you ain't never gonna be nothing, still stuck in you just like your no good daddy, stuck
Yes.
with all of this negative programming. And now the world is expecting so much from this man or this
Yes.
woman who is
Yes.
stuck in this broken little child and
Hmm.
every negative word, every negative thing that has been spewed out against them.
Correct. And that's how we actually become broken adults. Because a lot of the times it's something that has come from our childhood, something that we didn't get. Just like, you know, females that may not have had a father figure. So they're broken. And then you turn around and you have these boys that have mommy issues.
Mhm.
You see? And I can only speak based upon my actual experiences. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody this, because you have to be transparent.
Yes.
Okay? And that's the one thing. I'm a very private individual, but I've learned to be transparent and tell people, you know what? My world isn't perfect.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay? My
Mhm.
world isn't perfect. But as far as I even had to look at my own son. Um, Myself and his father, we got a divorce when he was 5 or 6 years old. But I have spent a lot of time talking
Mhm.
to him about so many things, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And I decided, me and his dad, we kind of got into an altercation verbally. And, he brought up to me during this time, I think my son may have been 17 or 18. Like I said, my son is now 24. And it takes a longer time for males to find themselves, male boys to find themselves and to adapt to certain things. But you know what he told me? He said, you know what? He said, you're at fault. It's your fault.
Mhm.
But you know what? I had to go back and realize he was correct. You know
Mhm.
why? Because I look back at the times I didn't, when we were going through a divorce, of course, he had all the money. So it was like games and all this. And so my son is like, well, mama, daddy bought me this. What can you buy me? Well, sweetie, I can't buy you that.
Mm.
And guess what? It got to the point to where it would make me feel guilty. And then I was like, wait a minute, hold on. No, I'm not doing that. But now my son recognizes. And the one thing that I never did, I never, ever, ever badmouth his father to him. Now, I may have said some things off the record, but not but not to him, because children have to see for themselves. But one thing I was determined, I was like, you know what? My ex-husband, he's right. I refuse. I'm not raising a sorry ass man for a woman. So I really had to make sure that I turn it around,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
refuse to do that. I'm not.
Well, see, good for you. Now, me and you had kind of a different experience because
Mhm.
when I ended it with my children's father, who was my
Mhm.
first husband, I
Yes.
was very angry because there was infidelity that was going on. I was
Mhm.
very angry. And so, yes, I did a lot of bad mouthing in the beginning. And my
Mhm.
children were young at that time. They were like 10, 8, and 4, something like that. Because, I was angry. Like I had a lot that happened in that period of time. My sister died in a car accident.
Yeah.
I ended that relationship. I'm there, grieving. I'm angry. My mother is hurting. I'm trying to be the supportive daughter.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be the single mother. I'm trying to fulfill all of these roles. And, it was a whole lot for me. And so,
Yes.
unfortunately, my children really suffered in that period of time because I was
Right.
really angry. My son, I only have one son. I have two daughters. My son is my eldest.
Mhm.
He went through a whole lot of stuff. He really didn't know how to process this because, you
Right.
know, his aunt died, his mother and his father separated, his father is gone, would say that he would show up and he wouldn't show up. And then he
Yes.
had to hear his mother talk about that. And it was a lot for the children. And so, during that time, there was a lot of negativity that my children were exposed to. And I had
Mhm.
to, on the other side of that, recognize how I played a role in some of the things that they were experiencing because my son
Mhm.
actually would have blackouts. Like, the first
Mm.
time he ever blacked out was at my sister's funeral. But,
Wow.
but the emotion and everything became too much for him. And that is the mechanics of the body. The body will do what it needs to do in order
Mhm.
to protect itself. But of course, there was a whole lot going on. And as a single mother at that time, and their father wasn't showing up, I didn't know how to process it. So I was the breadwinner. I was the one who was trying to buy the gifts and trying to, make them feel like everything was okay. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I was breaking down inside. And so that's why it's important if you're a parent and you're going through stuff that is too much, because that life sometimes brings you stuff that is
It
too much.
does. It really
You
does.
have to reach out and seek the help that
Mhm.
you need. I was able to find the help that I needed when I
Yeah.
recognized and admitted that I needed
Right.
help, right?
Yes.
And as parents, we have to understand how to do that for ourselves, because Onyx, you cannot give to your child something that you don't have for yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's something that we need to really go back. You talk about parenting
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of investments. But you know, the best investment that you can give your child basically is love and knowledge. Um,
Love and attention. So we have a question that has come in
Definitely.
from Kendra.
Okay.
And the question is, my son is becoming rebellious and defiant. And
Hmm.
I believe it's because of the way his father interacts with me. How can I begin
Hmm.
to turn this around? He is only 5. This is such a great question because, like I said, your children will do as you do before they do as you say. And so,
Hmm.
Kendra, I don't, that this is a question. I don't know the situation. I'm gonna tap into my intuition for a minute here because y'all know that's
Correct.
how I do. But what your son is seeing, is your son becoming rebellious towards you? And I kind of feel like the answer to that would be yes. But your son is demonstrating towards you what
Hmm.
he's you allowing
Yes.
father to do to you.
Hmm.
What you got to say, Sean?
That I totally agree because I'm gonna tell you something, okay? And like I said, I'm transparent. I can only go on with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with a lot of in my marriage. I dealt with a lot of physical, mental, emotional abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I continue to do, I made sure I communicated with my son. Now, the fortunate thing for me and my son when I was going through that, well, my son, he never saw the physical abuse. And for some reason, he saw because he went through that too. Okay. But as far as the mental and the verbal abuse, he witnessed that. But I would always say, look, let's not do that in front of the kids. Oh, you know what I mean? If you're going to say something, just wait. But I would go, when I was going through certain things, I would always, always be in communication with my son, not about what went on between me and his dad
Mm-hmm.
during the time we were married. But I made sure that I communicated with my son to let him know how much his dad loves him, how much I love him. And I'm gonna tell you something. I would make excuses because there were times when my son would say, "Mama, why dad? How come daddy's not gonna pick me up? What's wrong?" You know what I would always tell my son? I would always tell him, "Baby, your dad just don't feel good.
And see, and we can't do that. And that's one of the
He
things
just
that
don't feel
parents
good."
do. So you said that your son didn't see the physical abuse,
He
right?
didn't see the physical abuse.
But see, they feel it. Children are very
Hmm.
sentient, which means that they are very connected to their feeling sense. Children
Yes.
feel what's going on. And this is one of the things that, and I'm just going to say it because, I always say
Say it.
everything
Yes.
that's broken cannot be fixed. Okay.
Right.
So
You're right.
I am not that relationship. I don't coach in relationships where I'm trying to fix everything because there are
Right.
some things that cannot be fixed. I'm not encouraging people to stay in relationships that they
Right.
need to get the hell out of and get the hell out of
Hmm.
quickly, right?
Yeah.
But your children see what you allow to be done to you. So even you said,
True.
and I don't judge. I observe. But a lot of
Hmm.
people do this. They tell the person who they're in abusive relationship with, let's not do this in front of the children. How about let's not do this to hell at all? Because
True.
when you have your child in an environment where there is abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, that
Hmm.
child is being affected. One, and two, that child is being taught what to do or what to allow.
Yeah.
And this is
But
one of the things that we need to realize
hmm
in what we're investing into our children.
right. You know what? But like what the back in the olden days again. The one thing about the parenting or the parents back then, see, they like my mom and dad. We never knew it was a problem. You know why? Because they did things behind closed doors.
Girl, I knew it was a problem. My parents
But
closed the door to argue too. You know what me and my sister used to do?
what?
Put our ears up against the wall or against the
Hmm.
door to hear what was going on the
Well,
other
I just but I still think a child needs to stay in a child's place. Now, I didn't sugarcoat anything to my kids. Like I tell them exactly what it is, okay? But to get in that little tit for tat, with the kids and you're trying to involve them, like what's going on, because these, I'm gonna tell you something, the kids are already stressed, and just like you said, they can sense things.
Mhm.
And I know, because I know my child at that during that time. See, I knew what kind of mindset my child had. So I I did not really tell him the full truth that I was going through an abuse until it was like later. Way my son was after he was at the age of 18. But I didn't do that to hide it from him.
Mhm.
That's not what I did. I didn't do that to hide it from him. But I felt at that time, it's like, this is what you need to know, because this is what you shouldn't be doing. Learn how to respect women or whatever. But
Right.
back to your the individual that is talking about her 5-year-old son, I concur, because he's watching his dad be belligerent
Hmm.
to his mom. Now, the one thing I can say, like, when my ex-husband was, and I'm gonna have, like I said, I'm gonna have to use me. When my ex-husband was belligerent to me, I'm calm. Let me tell you what happened eventually. My son grew up, and this is when he was a teenager. And there's one thing my son said to me. He said, "Mama, why are you so nice to Daddy?"
Mm.
I said, "Because it's the right thing to do." But see, he didn't know what happened after that. I'm gonna check your ass. Okay, I'm going to check you, boo boo.
Yes, Bobo. But as parents, we are responsible ultimately for the well being of our children.
We are.
And as parents, you need to take into consideration your children. Yes, you're
Mhm.
dealing with your stuff, but they didn't ask to be here from the human. We say that, although I believe that we come here, we choose on the soul level to come here, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But we are responsible for our children's experiences.
We
I
are.
feel like in this season, we have to be more aware of the choices that we make that are affecting us first
I.
and foremost,
Mhm.
and ultimately
And
affecting our children, because that's what we're
yes.
talking about today,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
like you said, your child saw things, like, and I want us to get back to this, because I hear a lot of people say this. So I want to give you an opportunity to answer this question, but I just want to say something first. But the question is, when you said you believe a child should stay in a child's place, I want you to,
Mhm.
to expound on that a little bit more.
Okay.
But children don't have a place in their mind. They
Mhm.
see their parent being abused. They
Mhm.
see their parent being screamed at, their
Mhm.
mother or their father, because women
Mhm.
do it and men do it. And me and my sister, as children, like I said, my parents would go behind closed doors, because
Mhm.
I grew up with, it was that mentality in the
Mhm.
from my father's part of the family. He would always say, um, Peter Bodie say, talk some and leave some, right? But they would be behind closed doors. And my sister and I, because we really loved our mother. Me, I loved my mother more than my father. Let me just say that.
Yes.
I didn't like his ways or
Mhm.
his energy.
Right.
I would listen to what was going on. And I'll never forget this time when I saw my father be physically abusive with my mom.
Mhm.
And she was crying, and he hit her, and we saw that. And then she went in the room. Actually, she went into the bathroom. She had to go through her bedroom into the bathroom, and all we wanted to do was go and make sure our mother was okay. And he made
Mhm.
us stay outside of that room. I'll never forget that.
Mm.
And I developed a hatred for
Yes.
my father based on that incident. And it took me a long time to release that hatred that I felt.
Mhm.
When I was younger, I hated my father. I hated
Yeah.
him. I hated him for what I saw him doing to my mother, how I saw him
Mhm.
treat her, and the things that I saw that he said about her. So children are affected. You
They
have
are.
your experience with what's happening in the
Yes.
relationship, and they have their experience with what's
Mhm.
happening in your relationship with your significant other,
Yeah.
their relationship with you, and in their relationship with your significant other. So they're dealing with being confused about three different relationships, and you're
Mhm.
really just dealing with the one relationship, the issues between you and your significant other, if there's.
Mhm.
But what do you mean when you say you think that a child should stay in a child's place?
What I mean is the fact that, as adults, it's too many of us adults that have our children. We allow them to sit and listen into our grown folk conversation. No, we talking about all, and I'm talking about children. I'm not even talking about teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're sitting there listening to grown folk conversation. I'm still from the old school, and that's just how I have reared my son and my nieces and nephews. But I've also, with the twist of modernized, because really back then it was always, like I said, the parents, all they said was because I said so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They did things based upon the way they were raised. They don't even know why.
Yeah.
But in this day and time, see, it was important to me that I tell my kids, call a spade a spade. And my own mom felt that, even my son growing up, as when he was a child. Do you know my mom really felt like, you just being too open? But I'm like, Mama, we can't sugarcoat anything with these kids. We have to be honest.
Yes, you have to be
Don't
honest.
be sitting there and why on earth are you telling your child? Seriously, why are you telling your child it's a freaking Santa Claus?
Yeah.
And let me say this.
I never did because
No,
I
I
wasn't.
didn't do that.
I wasn't
No.
letting a white big belly, white bearded man get credit for what I was doing.
Do you know? Let me tell you. Do you know that my husband and I, we got into a disagreement? Do you know my husband put his hands on me
Mm,
because he wanted to know, why in the hell did I tell our son there was no Santa Claus?
wow.
And I stood by that because it ain't no freaking Santa Claus.
And you know what, Onyx? Your children will call you out when they get older on the lies that
You
you have
goddamn
told
right
them.
they
But
will.
but I'm saying when they get older, but these children, like Kendra is talking about, her child is 5. These children now, honey, they call you out immediately
They
because
do.
they have
Yeah.
come in with a whole different energy. They've come in with a whole different level of wisdom. That's
Mhm.
why a lot of people
Mhm.
look at their children now and be like, "You've been here before." Yeah, but
Yes.
they've been here before many times. These are the ancestors coming back. And if you
Yeah.
think you're going to parent your children
Mhm.
of today, like how
Yeah.
you were parented
Mhm.
30, 40, 50 years
It
ago,
don't work like
no,
that.
it's not going to
No.
work. There's going to be a great divide. You are going to have nothing in common with your child
Yeah.
at all. Your
Right.
child ain't even going to be asking you nothing. And
No.
nowadays, Onyx, your children don't need to ask you no questions to get
No.
information. They have information at the press of a
Right
button.
on the phone. That's right.
At the
That's
press
right.
of a button. And so you have to be honest with your children about everything. And so,
You
like you
do.
said, I agree with you in that. You have to be very aware and wise with regards
Yes.
to what you expose your children to. But the
Mhm.
thing is, children, like I said, they're sentient. So they feel things. And
Yeah,
I
they
know,
do.
like you said, if your child comes and asks you questions,
Mhm.
like, Mommy, why is daddy hitting you in your face?
Mhm.
Why are you
Mhm.
allowing daddy to hit you in
Mhm.
your face? Because these children now will call you out.
They will.
And sometimes when they call you out, it's for you to really answer that question for yourself.
Correct. For
Like,
yourself.
yeah, Danica, why are you letting him beat you in your face every
Exactly.
day and
Yes.
allowing your child to be
Mhm.
exposed to this?
Yep. And you know what? And then guess what happens? Then it goes back to disrespect. Then you got kids that's gonna disrespect. They
Yes.
gonna disrespect you because it's like, well, you know what? You let daddy put his hands on you and do nothing. So why am I
And that's
why am I
not
gonna just
and that's not even the only reason why they're doing it. They're being affected by the energy or the spirit, people
because
say,
they can pick it up.
of
Yes.
anger. Okay,
Mhm.
so they're being affected by that. That's being transferred to them, so they operate in that anger because they see
Mhm.
a whole lot of things going on that they're angry about too. And what the parents are teaching them is,
Hmm.
this is how you deal with your anger. This is what
Yes.
you do when you're angry. You
Yeah.
become rebellious. You become defiant. They do as we do before they do as
Yes.
we say.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So my like you said, the word that you give to the young lady with that information,
Hmm.
she has to dip to me, and this is my advice, that she really has to talk to her son because she definitely doesn't want her son to grow up like that, putting his hands on another woman. And that's what
Yeah.
I taught my son. Like that's a no no. You don't put your hands on another woman. Walk away, because I'm gonna tell you something. Even as women, we can keep poking the bear and keep poking the bear, keep doing it
Mm-hmm.
until it's like, okay, I just want you to be quiet. But there's still no justification on any man putting his hands on a woman. Period.
What you
But
said
it is
just
what
now
it.
is key, though. What you said just now is key, though. And I'm a firm believer in this. Don't give to somebody something that you don't want back.
That's right.
So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
women, like you said, they are very provoking. You
Yes,
know,
they are.
they know what buttons to press, they know what
Mm-hmm.
triggers to press, and
Right.
they do that. And so, you have to be the person in your relationship that you
Mm-hmm.
want to be done to you. But in
Yes.
addition to speaking to her son, which I agree with,
Yeah.
I feel like, Kendra, you also need to speak to the child's father and
Correct.
let him know, first and foremost, is look, this is not acceptable. We are not
Correct.
having this exchange. And secondly, this is how our son is being affected by it.
Yes.
And as a man, you have to teach your son how to be a man. As a woman,
Correct.
you cannot teach your child to be a man if you have a son. And
Correct. Nope.
as a mother, you are never mother and father to your child. And I really wish
Mm-hmm.
mothers would stop that shit. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, Father's Day is not your celebration. You be the
Yeah.
best damn good mother that you can be, and you
Mm-hmm.
celebrate who you are as a mother. But as a mom, as a woman, you cannot teach a man how to be a man. You can teach a
Yeah.
man, you can teach him how to be good. You can teach
Right.
him how to be loving, but you
Mm-hmm.
cannot teach him how to be man. There are certain
Yeah.
components of what manhood represents that as a woman, you cannot you can't, your son is not going to get that from you. And so
Right.
that's why a lot of mothers have this issue with their sons, because
Mm-hmm.
you trying to be mother and father, you're not mother and father. You can never replace that father. Just be the
Yeah.
best damn mother, good mother
Yeah.
you can be.
And then surround yourself with father figures.
So, exactly. I love
Surround yourself.
that.
You know
Surround
what I mean?
them, give them
Yeah, surround
access.
them. Yes,
Yes,
definitely. And that's
absolutely.
basically what I did for my son, to make sure that he was actually surrounded. We have to make sure we do our part to the fullest. When
Absolutely.
you say what type of investments,
Yes, absolutely.
that's so important.
Absolutely. And don't look at what you can't do or what's
Right,
hard or what's difficult.
right.
Just figure out what you can do
Yeah.
and do that to the best of your ability. Because the
Hmm.
truth is, if you keep focusing on what's missing, you're going to
Yes.
create more of what's missing. Do what you can do. Make the investments. Spend time with your children. Have
Yes.
conversations with your children. Be honest with your children.
Yes.
Be loving with your children. Yes, you're going to go through your shit too. You're going to have your ups and downs, but explain that to your children.
Correct.
Apologize to your children.
Yes. Yes. I have
When you
apologized to my son.
I had to apologize
Hmm.
to all of my children. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe that is why we have the dynamic that we
Hmm.
have in our relationship, because
Yeah.
I was big enough to admit my wrongs. I was
Yeah.
big enough to say sorry to them. And,
Yes.
we all got to figure it out, but figure it out with an intention to
Hmm.
be the best parent, to give
Yes.
your children the best that you can. I'm not telling you to go out and buy them name brand stuff, because that shit don't
No,
matter anyway.
it doesn't.
Get all of that stuff. But you know what
Yeah.
my son said to me one day, Onyx? He said, Mommy, I am the man that I am because you were the mother that you were to me. He said, and
Mm.
I thank you for supporting me and for being there for me in everything. And as
Yes.
parents, that is the best gift that we can
Yes.
give our
It
children.
is. We have to be firm, and no matter what, because we're thinking like, oh no, we got to do this, we got to give them the work, but we have to be firm. My
Yes.
son knew that. It was like, well, I know. My son knew the difference between wants and needs, and so till to this very day, my son has come back and said, "Mama, you know what? Thank you, because y'all know what I did when my son was 16. 16. My son, he was living with me, and finally I came home one day, and this is a true story. I came home. There was a cereal bowl in the middle of the floor, and one of his shoes were in one place, and his other shoes in another place. Y'all know what I did? I said, "Well, baby, it's time to go. I release you." I sure did. I kept him because one thing his dad can't say, he can never say that I wasn't a good mother, because he didn't. That right there, He never went against my motherhood. He
Yeah.
never ever went. He never did that.
Yeah.
He tried to bad mouth me to my son about how I didn't care. But he knew in the end, he could tell anybody. I took care as a mother. And the thing is, I always wanted to work together. But yeah, I did. I sure did at 16. I was like, well, it's time for you to go, buddy.
Where'd he
You gotta
go?
live with, he went to his dad's house.
His dad's house.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad because he experienced things. I felt it was time. I didn't let my son go. He
Yeah.
wanted to live with his dad at an early age, but I said no.
Yeah.
I said no. And his dad knew really in his subconscious mind, like, you know what? I ain't gonna be able to handle this. But 16, well then they basically thought I flew the coop. And then I'm serious. And then his dad was like, well, what's wrong with your mama? What's wrong with her? Nothing is wrong. He's coming to live with you.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah. You got to teach him how to be a man now. He's
It's
16.
time.
It's man time. Well, good.
Bye.
Good for you, my sister. Pound
Yes.
fist, girl. Pound
Yes,
fist.
pound fist.
Yes. Okay.
Ow.
So thank you all so much for coming in. I think we need to continue this
We
conversation.
do.
And one of the things that I want us to talk about next week, let's continue with the parent children.
It's
And
important.
let's talk next week about how you show up with each of your children.
Yes.
Like Onyx, I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all completely different people.
Different.
And
Yes.
I had to parent them completely differently.
I get that.
And when you expect from all of your children, say you have a favorite, because I don't care what nobody say, we all have the one who is closest to us in one area or another. You can't expect the other children to be like your favorite child or be comparing. So let's talk about that next week. Let's continue talking about parenting, and let's continue talking about how you show up with each one of your
I
children
love it.
in the way in which they need you to show up for them. Good?
I love it. And any questions that you guys have, make sure that you reach out on Danica Carruthers' page so that we can answer the questions. This has been an awesome segment. But you know what? It's about our children. I don't care. Like I said, I call my children, they're 24, but they are young adults. But they grow up to be tyrants and everything else, and we want to blame them for certain things. But guess what? When you're pointing your finger, you got 3 pointing right back at you.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you do what you're supposed to do to the fullest. And even if you have grandkids, okay, so you didn't get it right with your children, it's never too late to. I don't even care if your child is 30 or 40. It doesn't matter. Get it right with them, and also get it right with your grandkids too.
Yeah, exactly. It's never too late, but you got to
Never
own
too
up
late.
to your shit, man.
You have to.
You are going to get a return on your investment, and you got to be big enough. Because, like, look here, in the beginning, I didn't do it right. I was carrying on some stuff that my father did to me, and one day, I caught myself when my son. I disciplined him, and I used to discipline hard, y'all.
Yeah.
You know them things you tie down a boat with, those ropes. I had one of those as a skipping rope, and I beat my son with that one time. We was in the Bahamas, so I know where you should try to lock you up for that. But I sent him to his room. I was so angry with him. I sent him to his room, and when I went in, like about 2.5 to 3 hours later, because that's how mad I was, I needed to calm down. I saw blood on his sheets, and that terrified me. I was searching all over him to find out where this blood was. And discovered after that he had nosebleeds that he had never had before. It probably came from him being so upset. And I promised myself, I had a real hard conversation with myself. Like, like kind of like, what the you think you doing? This shit was done to you when you was a child. You didn't like it. Why you think it's okay to do this to your child? I had that type of conversation with myself. And so I was able to catch myself with some things, thankfully, when they were younger. But I didn't have it all right. But let me tell you what I did do. I apologize to my children because I said, you know what? I want to give to them what I would want somebody to give to me. And so we have to figure it out. We got to learn it. And we have people who can help us. And that's why I said, if you're going through stuff, you need to reach out for help. So we're going to be here. This is Real Relationship Talk. And we're talking about relationships, all kind of relationships.
Yes.
So join us again next week. We're kind of trying to decide what day is the best day. So we're going to be coming on at different days as we begin this, and then we'll lock down the day that we feel like, there's a lot of participation. But like Onyx said, put your comments, put your questions. If you're watching this on the replay,
share this page, like it.
Yes, put your comments, put your questions, and we're definitely going to keep the interaction going. And we want to thank you so much, Debbie, Kendra, Selena, Thank you all so much for coming and joining us live. Like Sean
Yes.
said, share this. You know, she's Sean Onyx, so y'all hear me going back and forth. Sean Onyx. I call her Sean when we talking offline. But give us your comments if there's anything that you would like for us to cover. We have a list of things that we're going to be covering. Give us your suggestions, and let's do relationships for real. It's time for us to
Definitely.
really be intentional with our relationships so we
Yes.
can create the experiences that we want, because relationships are the foundation of who we all are, and you cannot do life without doing relationships. And
That's
it's
right.
time to do relationships the real way. Right,
Hmm.
Tony? On it?
Yes, ma'am. And also, at the end of the day, don't forget to be awesome, guys. This is just water,
I love it.
but don't forget to be
I need to
awesome,
get I
honey.
need to get me a don't forget to be something cup.
Okay. Well, I have a don't forget to be awesome with you, Vernica. I have a one for you too,
Well,
honey.
I love it, and I love you, Miss Sean,
I
on it.
love you too,
And
Nika.
I
You're
love
my
all of
heart.
you ladies. You thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next week. Leave us your comments, leave us your questions. Love and
Okay.
light.
Out.
All right, now I got to end this broadcast.